Hey everybody, good morning and welcome to another episode of Lockbox Lunatics. I'm Steve Lambert up here with Realty Tri-Cities Life in Kennewick, Washington, and you are...
I am Chad Kamp down here in sunny Chandler, Arizona. Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's to you, man. Boy, I am jealous of you right now. We got a balmy 28 degrees for our high today. Winter has hit, unfortunately, wrecking my golf game as well as a lot of other things. Anyhow, I'm very jealous of your beautiful weather right now, Mr. Chad.
You know, if I wish I could blame my bad golf game on weather. I think it has to do with skill.
I hey, I look for any excuse I can get. My shoes are too tight. Just kidding. I gotta tell you a funny story. I played with a guy one time, and this guy, we kind of know him a little bit, and he has a reputation for just excuses galore when he's on the course. And so we were waiting to see what the excuse was going to be that day. And on around hole 16, he goes, "You know what? I got these new shoes, and I think they're just too tight, and I haven't been able to be comfortable all day. There's just my feet." My shoes have been really tight, and I think it's really impacted my game. And I just like, I was trying not to just start crying laughing because all of us looked at each other. We were just waiting for what the excuse was going to be. We had heard everything from my gloves are bad to my belt doesn't fit to where I wore the wrong hat. I mean, the excuse, the ball was bad, whatever it was. I was like, good Lord, man. I was like, just chalk it up to the fact that we ain't playing on the PGA Tour ever anytime soon. And we're
Yeah.
just out having fun and we're hackers and we're having a good time. Anyways, but
Yeah, that's I've got a friend that the last time I went golfing with him, me and one of the other golfers, we were all friends, a group of four of us. He and I were standing there talking, and the gentleman was on the green putting, missed the putt. We just hear him use some expletives, and we hear whoo, 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 whoo. And we look up, and here comes flying the golf club over our head. I was like, dude, you're not good enough to get that mad at yourself.
exactly,
Man.
exactly. I have this funny picture I found of a buddy years ago that got so mad after he hit a 5 iron. He threw it so hard that the club head didn't go into the ground. The handle went into the ground and it was sticking out at like a 45-degree angle, just going. Brr, 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 brr. It was kind of funny. Anyways, random stuff, random stuff. But hey, it's been an interesting year this year, 2025 in the real estate industry. There's been a lot of
Yeah.
things that have happened. We've touched on a lot of the changes. We've touched on kind of the portals, law changes, consumer expectations, agent expectations, all kinds of different things. And we've talked about, we covered a lot of really good ground. I feel like we've covered some really good basic principles of real estate, as well as some of the more finite things in terms of industry happenings and changes. And
We've
you,
had some excellent guests on as well. They
oh my
cover
gosh.
a lot of great topics that make us think, outside the box on certain things.
Yeah, and for those of you guys, if you're watching today, like please go back into the archive there and pull up some of these. We've had like Chad was saying, we've had some incredible guests on there with some great insight, and not just from our point of view, not just an exit point of view, although we are definitely biased towards exit because we think it's a great company. But I'll tell you that we've had a lot of people from other industries that have had a myriad of different experiences within industries and changes that have given us some great advice on what to look for and what to do. But you were talking about before we got on today, you were talking about something that a lot of people, New Year's resolutions, going to start off the year strong, business planning, all that is happening right now. And you mentioned the word vision boards, which I got to tell you, it takes me back to like 1980s, like Vision Quest
Yeah.
or something. Wasn't that like, it just reminds me of that. I don't know why. I don't know why, but it does.
And there's a lot of title companies and a lot of lenders and a lot of agents that are well-meaning with the vision boards.
Yes.
As we were discussing, I think they're missing some of the concept of the vision board.
Yeah.
Typically when you walk in and you see individuals putting a vision board together, or you see the product of the vision board, this is the vacation I want to go on. This is the vehicle I want to drive. This is the home I want. This is the jet I'm going to buy, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. I love it.
What is the one thing missing on that vision board?
How the heck am I getting there, man?
How are you going to do that?
How
How
am
are
I
you
going
going
to
to
get there?
accomplish it? You
It's
know,
like getting in your car and saying, "Hey, Chad, I'm gonna drive down. I'm gonna drive down to Arizona. I'm gonna come visit you." And I just get in the car and I start going. And it's like, well, that's great. I have a big picture of Chad's house, and I have Arizona and I have it on my vision board. Well, how the heck am I gonna get there? How do I do that, right? What does that
what's
look like?
yeah, it's like the Powerball, I think last week was at what, 1.7 billion?
Yeah, Billy. Yeah,
Right. And
yeah.
it's like someone sitting there going, "Oh, this is how I'm going to spend that 1.7 billion dollars."
Yeah, and they didn't buy a ticket.
and they didn't buy a ticket, right? Which I'm not a gambler.
I
I
didn't
don't.
buy a ticket, but at 1.7, I thought about it. I did think about it. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
actually, it's funny you say that because I thought if I had that, what would I do? And you're right. I thought about all the cool things I could do. Did I go buy a ticket? Nope. So I'm not doing
yeah.
any of those cool things. I mean, maybe,
Right.
but I'm
No
not
one
doing
is.
it off of this Powerball.
Right, right. But so, the entire board is covered in, their vision. What they're
Yeah.
missing is how they're going to get there, right? And so I think on these vision boards, like I said, they're well-meaning, and if folks need that visualization to be able to go out and achieve those goals, great. But you also need to visualize you picking up the phone, you going
Yeah.
knocking on the door, you expanding your network, right? And so
Yeah.
that needs to be on the vision board. These business, and then hand in hand, the business plan. We always hear vision boards and business plans. And when you look at the industry, the business plan is, okay, how many transactions do I need to have? What's my average commission, right? So, and this is how much I want to make for the year. How many transactions do I need to do that? Well, that's all well intended. You know as well as I do, goals are extremely important, right? We always
100%.
look back
Yeah.
at what our goals were. Did we make our goals? Why didn't we make them?
Mhm.
But these business plans, they don't dive deep into the weeds, if you will, to
Yeah.
say, okay, great, you've got a goal. Now you need to go one step further.
Yeah, no, I love the fact that what you're talking about on that is because people look at a business plan and they say, "Hey, I did a business plan. Did you look at it again at all during the rest of the year?"
Oh
Because your
yeah.
business plan is a look ahead, right? But you should be revisiting it monthly, honestly, to be because you want to track it. You got to look at it. We're fans of AI. Obviously, we love
Oh
that.
yeah.
I put together a business plan and then I broke it down by quarter, and then I broke it down by month, and then I broke it down by week, and then I went into AI and I started putting in different queries. If I want to do this, where would you look? If I wanted to do that, where do you think I should go? And then I would give it its like kind of the turnaround. I'm like, well, if I go there and this happens, what should I do next, right? And I started giving it scenarios. Super fun to do. And I came up with basically three things that I can do every week that will move the needle towards my goals. And then I asked AI to time block it into my calendar. So now every day it's time blocked into my calendar, and I have three specific things to reach out for the first month, the second month, and so on and so forth. And then I can go ahead and measure that, and I can go back in and say what's working, what's not working. And I'll say I had started it a little bit early because I was excited to do it, but it has me going to places where agents never go, which is what I asked it to do. I said I want to sell real estate. I want to do more things. I want to get more commercial going. What should I do? But I want to do it where agents aren't going to be in a plenty, basically. And it's very interesting where it has me going. And it's fascinating because the feedback when I've gone in for this outreach has been through the roof. So it's pretty
Oh,
interesting.
nice. Nice.
So, but you got to break it down, right? We have to break down the steps as to like what specifically are you going to do today during this time to get to the jet airplane or get to the Ferrari or whatever it is that you have on your vision board, your Jeep, your what I don't care, whatever it is, X car, right? You've got your things on there. And like you said, a lot of the plans, people are all excited. They get all jacked up in November, December, make that plan, and then they never look at it again, ever.
Yeah, I think the best thing that I've done is I've shortened my business plan down to 90 days.
Hmm.
And there again, revisiting that,
Yeah.
I've done the same thing. I used AI
Mhm.
prompts to help guide me through that process, to walk me through where my business comes from, where I want additional business to come from, and then to establish a routine for myself and to time block certain activities that are going to be productive, right? And so, it's a great resource to have with your business plan. So if your business plan doesn't have a component of what steps you're going to take to achieve those goals that you've set for yourself and how to push yourself out of the box. It's not that great of a business plan. It needs to have a marketing component to it, right? So it's got to make sure that you've got some activities that are proven to be income producing for you.
Well, it'd be like me handing you this business plan if you can see that at all. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it,
Yeah,
but
there it is. Yeah.
2026 goal, make money. Done. And then how?
Yeah.
Like how are you doing that? Like because it's funny. I've met with a couple of my agents that had really actually good business plans put together. I was super excited, and they did it their own way, which I was really excited about. They kind of took like some basic ideas that we gave them, and then they took the exit business plan, but then they just kind of made it their own. One did one that was a few pages long, like 5 or 6. The other one did a one pager, but he broke it down really cool. And what I liked is that every single one of them had it broken down by quarter and exactly how
Right.
they did it. And the cool part is they made plans last year and they actually met their goals. So now they're bought in on like the plan, but visiting the plan, right? A big part of what I did last year was I put together a business plan on how I was going to become a better leader and try and keep retention high within our brokerage as well as attract new talent. And we have 100% retention. We've got 100% production. Added a couple new people, so I hit my goals. But a big part of it was picking three things. That's my big thing. And so for whatever it is that somebody's out there, make sure it's just something that you can stick to, right? You have to make it realistic and not this big overarching, well, I've got 17 things I'm going to do every single day for the next 300 days. You're not going to be able to do that. I mean, you can't. So,
Right.
but like you said, I think it's important to revisit it, make it actionable, and break it down by day. But I love that you say that because that is the big push right now. We're seeing that from everybody. Business plan, business plan, business plan. And it is in our industry always that way. I want to make X dollars. My average sale in this area is this much. My commission is this much. After all my costs, I make this much. How many sales do I need to do to get to X? And then it kind of stops there, right? It
It
doesn't sit
does.
there and say, okay, well, how many leads do you need to go generate? How many people do you need to go shake hands with? How many contacts and connections do you need to make every single day to get to that number? And it's generally a lot, and that's but people don't, they feel good about it. They get all excited. And then I know you and I both see this, June rolls around and people are like, uh-oh,
Yeah.
I'm way not even close to my plan.
Yeah, and I think that's a big component of your business plan is revisiting it, having a look back period. You need to sit and look back, and I think you need to do it minimum on a monthly basis and say, okay, what did I do well? What can I do better? What am I going to start doing, start doing, and what am I going to stop doing? What's not working? And that's just as big. That's the biggest component. So I know that you work with your agents quite closely with their business plans.
Yeah.
And did everybody meet their goal, or was it,
No, they didn't actually. We had a couple that didn't do their business plans last year. They did.
let's talk about that because I actually missed my goal by 3%. I,
Okay.
I think it was about 3% that I missed my goal by, which for me, I always push myself every year. And so, this year was better than last year. So I missed my goal. I still take that as a win.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
Because
Right.
I beat my goal last year, but let me ask you this, with your agents, how do you approach that with them? And how off were they from their goal? And what do you do to get them re-engaged?
Well, the ones that didn't make a plan, they're they
There
tell me
wasn't a
they
goal.
told me they have a plan, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, we know how that worked out this last year. So
Right.
you share it or not. They don't want to share it necessarily. I'm like, okay, which always makes me wonder if you have a plan. The ones that had it, I went back and met with them, and I said, so let's look at your plan from last year. You hit your goals or you didn't hit your goals. Let's look at the different parts of your plan. What did you do and what didn't you do? So where did you follow through and what didn't you follow through on? Why did you not follow through on it? Generally, it's because they picked something they're not good at, quote unquote, or they didn't like, right? And so I'm like, okay, well, let's figure that out then. Maybe let's load your plan up with things that you like to do that were effective, right? So that, hey, you like to do that and that did work out. Well, let's add a little bit more to that to this year, right? You didn't do this because you didn't like it. So either that's an area of opportunity to grow in and get more comfortable, or maybe we just ditch that altogether because I don't want you to dread it. But I think sometimes the exercise of actually going out and marketing in a place maybe you're not super comfortable with or putting yourself is actually good because it helps expand your vision of just the world around you, but two, it also helps you learn how to present and speak in environments maybe that you're unfamiliar with a little bit, right? So I think that helps you become a better broker agent really at the end of the day. So um,
Right.
that's kind of I mean, that's how I did it. There's no right answer, but it's very individualized. I really do meet with everybody one on one. Something that I brought in last year too was every Tuesday afternoon I check in with my agents, just something simple to say, hey, how are you doing today? Is there anything I can help you with? How can I be of service or of help to you this week?
Yeah.
Simple question.
Yeah, and I think that that really encourages folks. I think agents. That's one thing that I'll be implementing. I haven't done that. I've kept in touch with my agents, but I don't do it on a weekly basis. Uh,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, they need to know that there's someone there that's in their corner rooting for them, and that's a resource that they know that is a true resource. I've got some agents in the office that I talk to on a regular basis. That relationship has been built up, that trust has been built in there, and they know, they can call me any time of day. So I've got several agents that I do talk to on a regular basis, but I've got a couple that are just on the outskirts. And so it's one of those things where you try to bring them into the fold, but you can't bring them in kicking and screaming the same as
Yeah.
you can't force folks to do this marketing or business plan. Uh,
Yeah.
and then you can't force them to be held accountable to it, right? So they have to have that openness to be able to say, okay, hey, look, Steve, Chad, you I want to talk to you every single week, and whenever I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I need you to call me out on the carpet on it, right? And we can do that in such a manner that's not, offensive, but realistically, come on, you've got to stop making excuses. You have these goals, you have this vision board that you created, right? What are you doing to accomplish that, and how often are you going to be using the same excuse, right?
Right. Well, what's interesting too is we don't this whole idea it's not completely, obviously it's not relegated to just a real estate industry, right? A
No,
lot of
not at all.
industries struggle with this. It's funny because this morning I was at the gym and I ran into a friend of mine who's actually he manages about 80 people. He works at the nuclear facility here, and he had a really interesting we talked about this. We actually, it's kind of funny that you brought it up because we actually talked about planning and production and managing teams of people and the difference between being a great salesperson and actually becoming a leader. And I told him how, hey, I'm a great sales rep, I'm a great agent, I can sell stuff, I can make things happen. But I realized that when I first started in the business, I thought I'd be a great leader as well. And it's taken a while to get to becoming what I consider a better leader. I think I have a long ways to go, but I think I'm a much better leader than I was before. Um, because I had that salesperson mentality of like, hey, just go figure it out. And he said, well, there is a component that I've been trying to teach the people within my group that I delegate to and underneath me, and it's called CSW, completed staff work. And I was like, that's fascinating. Like, tell me about that. And he said, and what that means is I'm teaching people to say, hey, before you come ask me a question on any project that you're working on, I want you to subscribe to this theory of completed staff work. And this was a theory that was implemented by the guy that created all the nuclear programs for the US. He's a captain, and I can't remember his name right now, so I'd have to Google it, but he's like the father of all these things. Um, and the interesting thing was he said the premise of that CSW is that I won't come to you, Chad, with and hand you any type of work that I wouldn't approve myself. So in
Right.
other words, that what I'm giving you as a report, it needs to be at the absolute highest level. I need to have any questions. I'm not going to come to you. I'm going to go dig and research my little tail off until I have a complete and absolutely thorough, vetted report that I'm willing to put my stamp of approval on as if I was you handing it off, right? And so it's a very interesting. And he said what that did is that cut down a lot of redundant questions to me, but it also cut down a lot of people coming to him saying, give me the answer. He said, so I'm doing it in a way that's creating the accountability for them to go get the answer. And I laughed because I said, how often do you and I like run into this in real estate? We have somebody coming to us and they're like, well, just give me the answer.
Right.
I don't need to, I'm not going to go like, I'm like, well, I figured it out by looking it up and reading and figuring out, and I know you want to shortcut it and I get that, but there's some benefit to you jumping in and doing the work, right? So it's just, anyways, it was very interesting to me because I love the concept and I love the accountability. So I started kind of, as we're talking here, how do I implement that into business planning? How do I implement that into my meetings? How do I implement it into our brokerage? The idea of this completed staff work, like
Yeah,
what
that's
can
interesting.
anyways, it's
And
interesting.
and one of the most common answers that agents get from their broker whenever they have a specific question about either a transaction or terms of a contract is, what does the contract say? Go back and read your contract. I don't
Right?
I don't know how many times I heard agents complain about the brokers, telling them to go back and read it. And one of the things that I'm not the type of, if I've always sat back and watched others make mistakes. I mean, I've made my own mistakes, don't get me wrong. But
Yeah.
I've always sat back and when I recognize a mistake being made, I always analyze it. Okay, why was that made and how do I avoid that?
Right.
Well, when I heard that that's what the broker, was initially, the initial response was on any question, I just automatically started going and reading the contract. And, I'm very well versed in the contract. There are some little quirks in our contract here in Arizona that I'll get into discussions. I won't say arguments, but I'll get into discussions with other agents
Right.
about, and I say, hey, read the contract. The contract affords us the opportunity to deal with it this in this manner.
Well, I love that. I love that you do that because it's funny because as well as I know the contracts and I know as well as you know the contracts, I had a situation yesterday with a client where before I answered that client, I went back and double checked the contract, even though I was like, no, I know this, but I went back, reread it to make sure that my thought process and what they were saying and what I was looking at in the contract, that there was a discrepancy there, that I could go back and talk to that, not only mindfully, but with the full knowledge of understanding that, no, the contract does say this. In effect, it actually says this, it spells it right out. So I could
Yep.
go back confidently and not misspeak, right? And so that's just a simple step that took me an extra 15 minutes to make sure that I was able to answer appropriately and correctly to my client, right? Um, I didn't call somebody else and say, "Hey, do you think this is what the contract says?" You know what I mean?
Right.
Without reading it, right? I mean, I
Right.
might I might read it and then call somebody and say, "Hey, I just read this, and by the way, if could you read this section and how are you taking it?" Right? To get some
Yeah.
backup. But like you said, again, tying all the way back into the vision board, which we started this all off with, is that it's the detailed things that you do that build to the bigger things, right? And so it's the minutia and being able to get into the minutia appropriately to build to platforms and levels and get to where you want to go. So
Right.
it's very
Yeah.
interesting though. But like you said, I think we as an industry, a lot of other industries, just put the shiny objects up on the vision board and high five yourself and manifest it and build it and they will
Yeah.
come, right? It's
Right.
like feel the dreams, build it and they will come. Um,
Right.
you know, anyways, kind of interesting.
It is. Well, we're coming to our time being up. A quick question. This is the, New Year.
Mhm.
Are you a resolution kind of guy?
You know, not really. And I can tell you why. I think that if there's something worthwhile doing, why wait till January 1 of the next year to do it? Just start doing it now. So
Yeah.
I do get resolutions and I do get things that I want to do, but I generally just kind of go for them.
Right.
Unless it's something that's out of my hands, like a program or an implementation of something like a tech stack or something like that, where I have to wait. But otherwise, I don't know. I just go. So I'm not.
So I've got a deep philosophical question for you. So I need you to put your Plato or your Nietzsche hat on. All right.
Uh-oh. I wonder if I have one of those. Sorry, I'll just leave it alone.
All right. So if I commit to having no New Year's resolution this year, is that still a resolution?
You know, I'd have to say that I think that technically qualifies as a resolution.
I believe it does. I believe it
That's
does.
where I've spoken.
All right. Well, thanks for everyone for riding along with us today. It was great seeing you, Steve. And again, if you have any topics that you would like to have us discuss or be a part of, feel free to drop a comment in the section below. Also, please, we're trying to grow our viewership. So if you would like and follow our page here on YouTube, that would be great. So otherwise, we'll catch up with you folks next week. Take care.
Awesome. Take care, everybody.